Could Kamala Harris or Donald Trump really change the course of your life, or is it anxiety calling the shots? The battle between the candidates goes beyond the ballot box. It's happening in your mind as well. But what many haven't realized yet is that behind all this political debate and tension, there's something much deeper happening within each of us. Something that, if left unchecked, can have consequences far beyond the election period. Let's explore how this anxiety manifests in surprising ways, and how it might be shaping your choices without you even noticing. The election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is just the surface of something much deeper, the anxiety it generates. With the constant flood of news, polarized debates, and social media filled with extreme opinions, people end up internalizing this tension, which can increase anxiety levels. Even those who don't closely follow politics can feel its impact, as the overall climate of uncertainty and division affects everyone's emotional well-being. Election period anxiety isn't limited to choosing candidates. It's tied to the feeling of helplessness in the face of events beyond our control. The pressure to make an important decision, media influence, and fear of the future all fuel this anxiety. In this context, the real impact isn't at the polls, but on our mental health, which becomes fragile due to an overload of information and expectations. By focusing on this topic, the video explores how political decisions are often secondary compared to the psychological burden we carry. Anxiety becomes the true winner if we don't learn to identify and manage these feelings. The key here is to understand how our mind reacts to this environment and prevent political worries from dominating our daily lives. Before we dive into the tips, I'd love to know if you're Team Kama or Team Trump. Drop your comment below to let us know. Now let's get into the 5 tips to help you spot signs of anxiety triggered by politics. Recognize the impact of media on your emotional state. The media has the power to amplify our emotions, especially during politically tense times like an election. The constant flow of information, often with dramatic and emotionally charged headlines, can heighten feelings of uncertainty and stress. When you consume this type of content without filters or breaks, anxiety can intensify, even if the issue doesn't directly affect you. The key is to notice when overexposure is affecting you and take steps to balance your mental health. Imagine spending hours scrolling through your news feed, seeing several alarmist reports about the candidates. By the end of the day, your mood worsens, and your sleep is affected. Recognizing this cycle, you decide to limit the time spent consuming such content, controlling your exposure and filtering your sources. By acknowledging the media's impact on your emotional state, you regain control over your anxiety. Set limits on news consumption. One of the best ways to reduce anxiety during election periods is to set limits on news consumption. Information overload can overwhelm your mind and amplify feelings of uncertainty. Setting specific times to check for updates like once or twice a day, and avoiding getting caught in the endless news cycle helps reduce psychological pressure and brings more balance to your day. If you usually start your day by checking social media and news first thing in the morning, try changing that routine. Instead, set a time in the afternoon or evening to check news updates, staying informed without overwhelming yourself. When you set clear boundaries on news consumption, anxiety makes room for control and balance. Avoid unproductive political debates. Political discussions, especially online, often turn into emotional battles that lead nowhere. Engaging in these heated debates can increase stress and anxiety, as well as strain personal and professional relationships. The best approach is to recognize when a conversation becomes unproductive, and instead of pushing it further, know when to step away to preserve your mental peace. Not every argument needs to be fought. Imagine you get into a political debate with friends on WhatsApp, and instead of exchanging constructive viewpoints, the conversation turns into a cycle of insults and frustrations. Recognizing this, you decide to step back from the discussion and focus on something that actually adds value to your day, like a personal project or some leisure time. Avoiding unproductive political debates is one of the most effective ways to protect your mental health during election times. Many people don't even realize it, but insisting on useless political debates can be the root of their constant anger. While you're burning out, the real political interests carry on, unaffected by your stress. Practice relaxation techniques to manage election anxiety. According to a study by the American Psychological Association, over 50% of Americans reported feeling significant stress during election periods. Relaxation techniques, such as meditation, deep breathing, and even light physical activities, can help reduce anxiety caused by political tensions. By incorporating these practices into your daily routine, you can relieve the emotional burden caused by information overload and uncertainty. If you feel anxiety rising while watching political debates, try pausing for a few minutes and practicing deep breathing, focusing on controlled inhales and exhales. After a few minutes, you'll feel your body and mind more balanced, ready to handle the flow of news more effectively. By incorporating relaxation techniques into your routine, you become more resilient in the face of election anxiety. While you continue overwhelming your mind with news and debates, your emotional health deteriorates, while the media thrives on your stress. Disconnect from social media during high-stress periods. High-stress periods, like elections, significantly increase levels of stress and anxiety, especially for those who spend a lot of time on social media. These platforms fuel the need to stay constantly updated, which can intensify feelings of urgency and anxiety. Intentionally disconnecting for a few hours a day, or even for entire days, can provide immediate relief to your mental health. If you feel overwhelmed after spending hours on social media during an election period, try disconnecting completely for a day, filling your time with activities that bring pleasure and relaxation, like a walk or reading a book. You'll notice your mind becoming clearer and free from unnecessary overload. By disconnecting from social media, you reduce anxiety triggers and regain control over your inner peace. Could you apply this tip next time you feel overwhelmed by social media during an election? Give it a try and see the impact it can have. If these tips made you reflect on how anxiety impacts your choices, comment yes or no, and subscribe to the channel for more content that helps you gain emotional control during critical moments. Subscribe now, and start taking better care of your mental health during turbulent times. Here, you'll find practical insights to lead a calmer life. Now that you understand how anxiety can influence your decisions, check out other videos on the channel that will give you even more tools to change your routine and live more peacefully.